Okay, hello. Ang lecture natin ngayon tungkol sa cognitive psychology. Very important, very relevant. Pag-uusapan natin social media cognitive impacts in the classroom. So the main question na gusto kong i-address in this lecture, ano ang epekto ng social media sa learning process ng mga students? I think this is very relevant lalong-lalo na ang Pilipinas is considered as the social media capital of the world. Sa simpleng Tagalog, marami mga Pilipino babad na babad sa pagso-social media. In fact, just to give you an idea, ang typical na Pilipino, 4 hours and 40 minutes sa social media, while the world average is only at 3 hours and 43 minutes. Tinalo pa natin ang world average sa tagal in the social media. At karamihan sa mga tao na pumapasok sa ganitong data would be young people na nag-aaral inside our schools. Kaya given these statistics, it is just a fair assumption na isipin na may impact sa learning process ang exposure ng mga Pilipino sa social media. And those are the things that I want to tackle in this lecture. Ano ba yung mga impacts na yan? In general, papangunahan ko na kayo, hindi maganda yung mga impacts na yan. And we are experiencing the negative results of those impacts na dala ng pagso-social media. Now, before I dig deeper into this issue, kung ano ba yung mga negative impacts na yan, let me just paint to you a general picture kung ano ba ang nangyayari sa social media. As you can see on the screen, these are pictures of different social media platforms. This is Instagram, this is Facebook, and this is YouTube. So ano ang general experience ng isang tao na nagbababad sa social media? Pinag-aralan na yan ng mga social media experts, and according to them, in a typical social media platform, meron palang 5 basic features yan. At itong 5 basic features na to, later on, you will see, may kinalaman ito sa mga cognitive impacts na nangyayari inside the classroom. So number 1, sa social media, merong quick transition of ideas. Patalon-talon ka ng mga ideas dyan. So in 10 seconds, pwedeng na-expose yung mind mo sa topics about politics, maya-maya religion, talon ka sa nature, and then cosmology, and then something religious, all within 10 seconds. Ganun kabilis ang paglipat, transition of ideas in social media. Number 2, karamihan sa social media, short contents. Although may mga long contents naman, pero hindi yan yung uso. Karamihan ng mga videos na pinapanood ng mga tao, yung maikli lang. Hindi masyadong pinapanood yung mga mahaba, like 1 oras or 2 oras. Usually talaga maikli lang yung mga videos, yung nagtitrend in social media platforms. Kaya nga nag-uso yung YouTube Shorts, nandyan na yung mga IG Reels, nandyan na yung mga Facebook Stories. Kasi ano ang common denominator sa mga contents na yon? Short lang, concise, condensed. These are the things that people want to internalize or to consume in the digital world. Number 3, merong variety of ideas in social media. Medyo connected to sa number 1. Ibig sabihin, wala masyadong focus sa social media. Anything under the sun. Yung mga information na pwede mong makita. So may information about bag, maya-maya kotse, maya-maya tungkol sa politics, maya-maya sa church, maya-maya sa education, maya-maya tungkol sa lupa, maya-maya tungkol sa pagkain. As in anything under the sun, pwede mong makita in social media. Number 4, karamihan ng mga contents are high in entertainment content. Ibig sabihin, primarily, halos lahat ng posts in the social media, ang goal niya is to entertain, to heighten certain human emotions. Although, pwede rin naman ang content educational, but between education and entertainment, mas dominante yung mga entertainment contents. In fact, there was one research, hindi ko na lang nalagay dito, pero isa pala sa mga motivation kung bakit ang tao magsa-social media, they want to be entertained. And last one, number 5, pag nagsa-social media ka, merong high user control. Ibig sabihin, tayo ang nagde-determine kung ano yung mga bagay na gusto nating makita in our social media. So kapag ayaw mo na yung nakikita mo, Let's say in YouTube, anong gagawin mo? You simply swipe up. Swipe ka lang ng swipe kung ayaw mo na nakikita yung mga nasa harap mo. 'Di ba? So, i-close mo lang yan, lilipat ka lang sa ibang platform, swipe ka lang, and then you focus more on the things that you want to see. Tayo ang may control kung ano yung gusto nating makita at ayaw nating makita in our social media. So, yan yung 5 features that are generally experienced by anyone using social media. And so I mentioned a while ago, yung 5 features na yan leads to certain learning beliefs. Dito na ngayon natin i-connect yung issue ng learning in connection to social media. Dahil ang tao na sanay sa mga ganitong features ng social media, nabubuo sa kanila yung learning beliefs. Such as what? In connection to students, dahil ang mga estudyante na sanay dito, ito na yung mga common learning beliefs nila. Okay? Ito yung idea nila how learning ought to be and how they should be taught by their teachers. Parang certain forms of expectations ito na nabuo sa mga students dahil sa common features that they experience in social media. At yung learning beliefs na yan that students have leads to learning impacts. And in this lecture, I will be discussing 3 learning impacts. So I hope you can see the connection. Saan galing yung learning impacts? Sa learning beliefs ng mga estudyante. Saan nanggaling yung learning beliefs ng mga estudyante? They were shaped. Sa Tagalog, hinubog sila ng social media na magkaroon ng ganong mga learning beliefs. So ano ba yung mga impacts niyan? Ano ba yung mga impacts ng mga learning beliefs na yan? Let me discuss 3. Number 1, dahil sa social media, ang mga estudyante nagkakaroon ng divided attention. This is a person's tendency to pay attention to more than one thing at the same time. In cognitive psychology terms, ito yung multitasking. Okay? So, nagmumultitask yung maraming students inside the classroom. Kaya marami mga estudyante in connection to divided attention. No? A simpler way of putting this is marami mga estudyante sa classroom wala or hirap sa focus. Kasi ganun ang shaping sa kanila ng social media to pay attention to more than one thing at the same time. Balikan natin yung mga features of social media. Papasok yan sa papasok yan sa number 3, variety of ideas. Dahil sa social media, patalon-talon ng mga ideas, sinanay ng social media yung mga estudyante na maging ganun. Na dapat pa iba-iba ng ideas. So, nangyari, pagdating nila sa classroom, dahil ine-expect nila dapat iba-iba yung ideas, marami silang gustong gawin all at the same time, that makes them to multitask inside the classroom. Kaya sa typical classroom ngayon, marami mga estudyante, maraming ginagawa other than the subject that they are studying. Ayaw nila na isa lang yung pinag-uusapan. Yung brain nila hindi sanay sa isa lang yung pinag-uusapan. Hindi sila sanay na cog-psych lang yung pinag-uusapan. Gusto nila may variety of ideas. So, anong gagawin ng mga estudyante? Dadagdagan nila. Other than what the teacher is talking about, bubuksan nila yung laptop nila, mag-open pa sila ng ibang sources of information para iba-iba yung mga information na nakikita nila. And that makes them comfortable. See, doon ang gagaling yung kanilang pag-multitask inside the classroom. Pero ang problema, according to studies in CogPsych, may problema sa multitasking. It will decrease the quality of your output. Paulit-ulit yan. In many researches in multitasking, yan ang common conclusion. Hindi nagiging maganda yung kalidad ng ginagawa mo kapag ginagawa mo yan kasabay ng iba mo pang mga ginagawa. This is a good article to read if you want to read more. Multitasking doesn't work. Isa pang article that you can read, Have Technology and Multitasking Rewired How Students Learn. It's a very good article that explains the evils of multitasking. Magbasa lang ako ng isang excerpt from this article. According to the author, one of the most stubborn, persistent phenomena of the mind is that when you do 2 things at once, what happens? You don't do either one as well as when you do them one at a time. Our brain is a serial processor. Ibig sabihin, we are at our best kapag nagko-concentrate tayo na gawin ng isang bagay lang. And then we move on to the next and move on to the next. We are not programmed to do multiple things all at the same time. And research has established this. Kaya yung mga research na yan, tugma rin yan sa sinasabi ng Bible na hindi maganda na ang tao double-minded. We become unstable when we are double-minded, sabi ni James. Nagiging unstable yung marriage mo, nagiging unstable yung career mo kapag wala ka sa focus because you are doing more than one thing all at the same time. Kaya i-translate mo to sa legal, i-translate mo to sa social policy, kaya pinagbabawal na yung texting while driving. In fact, kahit ngayon, bawal na yung hawakan mo lang yung cellphone mo habang nasa kotse ka eh. Parte na yan ng distracted driving. Bakit? Kasi according to the data, kapag ang mga drivers nagda-drive, at the same time nagsa-cellphone, ang taas-taas ng rate ng aksidente. Bumababa yung quality of safety driving. So, pinagbawal yung multitasking inside the car. This is well backed up by researchers in cognitive psychology. Kaya, naalala ko rin yung sinasabi ng Bible dito, no, in connection to nawawala yung focus natin. Isa sa mga qualities na pinopromote ng Bible is focus. The Bible is anti-multitasking. So the Bible teaches us to always focus on one thing at a time. Diba sinasabi dito, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Hindi pwedeng patingin ka sa left, titingin ka sa right, nawawala ka sa focus, things don't go well if you lose your focus. Kaya lang, yan ang problema in the classroom. Marami mga estudyante wala sa focus. At isa sa mga nagre-reinforce sa pagkawala ng focus in the classroom, I would say as a teacher, would be the use of laptop as a notebook. Siyempre, usong-usong ngayon yan. Based on my observation, konti na lang yung mga students na gumagamit ng old school notebook. As in papel, tapos sulat sila gamit ang ballpen. Ang notebook ng mga students ngayon, laptop na rin. Pero, yun na nga, given these researches that I'm presenting right now, I hope you see the problem. Imbis na yung laptop nakakatulong sa focus, nagiging source pa siya ng distraction. Kasi ano pinagkaiba ng laptop sa notebook? Ang laptop, magbibigyan ka ng multiple sources of information. Pwede ka pang may ibang windows na naka-open. May iba pang applications na nakabukas other than the lesson that you are listening to. So, ang laptop, pwede kang ma-distract. Ang notebook, wala kasi yung notebook specialized yan Meron kang notebook for CogPsych. So, lahat na nakasulat doon tungkol sa CogPsych. Ang laptop, habang nagtuturo yung teacher, pwede ka mag-Facebook, pwede ka mag-Instagram, nanonood ka ng YouTube video. Distracted ka. Kasi yun yung nasa harap mo Yun yung ginagamit mong bilang notebook. And we have studies to support this claim na hindi maganda ang laptop bilang notebook. Like in this article, ang conclusion nila is ang mga students mas mataas ang grade kapag gumagamit sila ng notebook than laptop. The same thing in this article, kayo na lang bahala magbasa, download from Google Scholar. Mga libreng mga sources ito. That generally, when students use laptops as notebooks, they have poorer performance as compared to students who use old school notebook. Kasi nga, sa old school notebook, wala masyadong distraction. Sa laptop, punong-puno ng distraction. Impact number 2. Because of social media, pinaikli nito yung attention span ng mga students. Pwede mo tong i-connect sa features 1, 2, and 5. Nasanay ang mga estudyante sa quick transition of ideas, short contents, high user control, ang epekto, bumaba ang attention span ng tao. In fact, na-estimate nga nila yan Nung year 2000 daw, ang mga tao, ang attention span 12 seconds. Lumipas ang 13 years, naging 8 seconds na lang. I did a little research on this ngayong 2023. Wala naman masyadong pagbabago pero a typical human being would have an average of 8.25 seconds as attention span. Ibig sabihin, ang mga tao, 8 seconds lang kaya mag-sustain attention sa isang bagay. Oras na lumagpas ang 8 seconds, hindi niya nagustuhan yung nakikita niya, gusto niya lumipat na ng ibang information. And again, bakit tayo naging ganyan? Bakit naging ganyan kaikli? Yung attention span natin, sinanay tayo ng social media to pay attention that way. Yan yung common denominator ng TikTok, YouTube Shorts, IG Reels. Dapat short lang yung content. Kaya nasanay yung brain natin na mag-process ng mga short contents lang. Ang problema, inside the classroom, kung ang pag-uusapan natin is quality learning, para maging maganda yung learning process, hindi maiiwasan. Kailangan mo ng detail, kailangan mo ng reflection. That's what it means to genuinely learn. Kailangan mo ng detail, multiple information. At the same time, pag-iisipan mo ng malalim, deep processing yung mga information na yon. Ang problema, that is in stark contrast sa social media. Sa social media, konti lang yung detail eh. Kaya nga siya YouTube Shorts eh. Kasi yung mga information dyan, super condensed, summarized lang. Hindi na sinasabi yung details. Kasi pag sinabi mo yung detail, hahaba yung video. Sa social media, hindi masyado nagre-reflect yung mga tao when it comes to posting. Hindi uso yung nagre-reflect bago mag-post. Hindi rin uso yung nagre-reflect kung tama ba yung nakikita niya sa social media o hindi. Kaya uso ngayon yung fake news. Kaya maraming nami-misinform. Kasi mababa ang level of reflection. So I hope you see the connection. No? Magkaiba yung mundo ng classroom sa mundo ng social media. Sa classroom, super detail, kailangan mag-reflect. Sa social media, super condensed, hindi mo kailangan mag-reflect. Di ba sinabi nga ng isang influencer yan, just to give you an idea. Isa sa mga kultura sa social media, hindi masyado nagre-reflect. Tinanong yung isang influencer, ano ba ang practice mo sa pagpo-post ng mga ideas in social media? Anong sagot? Ipopost ko kaagad. Nire-research mo pa ba yung mga pinopost mo? Ang sabi niya, hindi na. Now, believe it or not, that's the norm in social media. Hindi masyadong uso yung pag-iisipan mo, yung pinopost mo. Hindi masyadong uso yung pag-iisipan mo kung okay ba o kung truth ba, kung totoo ba yung nakikita mo in your social media. Unfortunately, yan yung mga qualities na nare-reinforce, na i-instill sa mga estudyante, which affects the quality of their learning when these students enter the classroom. Can you imagine yung mga estudyante na nasa classroom, ayaw ng detail, ayaw mag-reflect, mako-compromise talaga yung quality of learning. Oh. And once the students sense na inside the classroom, ang daming details, reflect sila ng reflect, dyan na ngayon lalabas yung pagka-bored nila. Kaya sila naiinip. And when students sense na naiinip na sila, ano mangyayari? Mag-shutdown na sila. And that impairs the quality of learning. So ang mga students, pag nainip na, ayan na, kukunin na yung cellphone, makikipagdaldalan na sa katabi, hindi na makikinig sa teacher. So bumababa yung quality of learning. Alright? Impact number 3, nagkakaroon ng ang mga estudyante ng entertainment expectation. And for impact number 3, you can connect this to number 4. Karamihan sa mga contents in social media, entertainment, therefore nagkakaroon ng expectation yung mga estudyante that when they enter the classroom, they need to be entertained. Meron silang learning philosophy, if it's not entertaining, then it is not worth listening. And we can sense that many students are like this kapag basahin mo yung evaluation ng mga teachers. One of the most common, pinaka-top na negative comments sa isang teacher would be, the teacher is boring. And that tells you something. When a student tells that a teacher is boring, it tells you na meron silang expectation that teachers must be entertaining. And where did they get that? Why is it that when students enter the classroom, they expect to be entertained? Kasi nga, ganun yung paghubog sa kanila ng social media. Gusto nila lahat ng nakikita nila entertaining. Lahat ng makikita nila, it will heighten their emotion. Ang problema, in the classroom, hindi naman goal ng mga teacher to heighten students' emotion. Teachers will involve emotions, but hindi yun yung primary focus. Secondary lang yung emotional aspect. In the classroom, when a teacher teaches, ang primary goal talaga niya is to work on the cognitive. Kung gagamit man siya ng emotion, it is in the purpose of further reinforcing the cognitive. But we always go back to the cognitive. So yun ang problema when students expect to be stimulated emotionally, Pero ang pag-hit sa classroom, cognitively, nagkakaroon ng mismatch. So yung mga estudyante, karamihan, they shut off. Marami mga estudyante, yung brain nila is so addicted to entertainment and they bring that inside the classroom which impairs their learning. This is a very interesting article to read. Alam nyo ba na yung entertainment pala can function as a drug? That it can make the brain addicted to it. So, totoo pala na meron mga brain na yung object of addiction ng brain, hindi drugs, rather entertainment. The more the brain is exposed to entertainment, tumataas yung level of dopamine, nagde-develop ng addiction. Kaya ang nangyayari kapag yung brain nawala na sa entertainment world, the things are not entertaining. Ano nangyayari? Bumababa yung dopamine, nagkakaroon ng withdrawal symptoms yung brain. Just like in any form of addiction. And you connect this to education. Kapag yung estudyante, yung brain niya, addicted sa entertainment, and the teacher is not entertaining inside the classroom, ano mangyayari? Bababa yung dopamine ng brain, ma-experience ng estudyante yung withdrawal symptoms. Yung brain magmamakaawa, gumawa ka ng something please, para tumaas ulit yung dopamine, kasi miss na miss ko na yung dopamine. O, anong gagawin ng estudyante para ma-address niya yung withdrawal symptoms? Ayun na. Going back to that slide. Gagawa siya ng paraan para i-stimulate niya yung sarili niya cognitively para tumaas na naman yung dopamine. And how do students do that in the classroom? Sisilip sa Instagram, sisilip sa Facebook, gamit yung laptop, gamit yung cellphone, makikipagdaldalan sa mga katabi. Kaya ginagawa ng students yan para tumaas yung dopamine nila to address the withdrawal symptoms that they are experiencing. And who made them that way? Bakit ganyan ang brain ng mga estudyante? Shaped by social media. I hope I'm making sense. So in summary, ito na ngayon yung mga points na na-discuss natin so far. Ano ang mga itsura ng estudyante inside the classroom? Students who are shaped by social media, they have divided attention, short attention span, and entertainment expectation. That impairs, all this impairs quality of learning. Kaya nga pwede kang makabuo ng conceptual model dito that you can test later on. No? If you have time, you can do a research on this. Exposure to social media. Social media capital of the world tayo. Makes the brain like this. And as a result, dahil ganyan yung psychological functioning natin, ano nangyayari? Boom! Hindi nagiging maganda yung performance natin cognitively. I'm sure familiar naman kayo sa nangyari noong 2018, no? In the PISA rankings, ang Pilipinas last, kulelat sa reading, mathematics, and science. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not oversimplifying this. Maraming reasons, psycho-sociological reasons, bakit nangyari yung ganyang results. Hindi ko sinasabi ito lang yung explanation, but we cannot deny that this explanation nakapag-contribute yan. Kung bakit marami mga students ngayon, mababa ang productivity sa mga subjects na yan. Okay? So, hindi naman ito lang yung explanation. No? Ang focus ko lang is this explanation kasi ito yung nile-lecture ko. So, in closing, ano yung solusyon? Given that our students today are shaped to be like this. Meron tayong dalawang options to solve the problem. Number one, pwede nating palitan yung methodology or i-adjust natin yung curriculum. Which I disagree. No? So sa two options na to, meron akong preference. And number one is not my preference. Okay? So, pag option one, baguhin natin yung curriculum para magtugma siya doon sa forma ng social media. Remember, ito yung feature ng social media. So, karamihan ng student brains ngayon, nahubog, ito yung template ng brain nila. So, one solution para ang mga bata matuto inside the classroom, gawin nating formang social media yung nangyayari sa classroom. Hindi ko lang alam kung paano gagawin yan. So, maybe education experts can have a big meeting. Pag-usapan nila, paano may experience ng mga students yung numbers 1 to 5 inside the classroom. But then again, sabi ko nga, I personally disagree with that option. Ako, mas maganda, ang option number 2 is, i-retrain natin. Turuan natin yung mga estudyante na gandahan yung attention span nila. Habaan yung attention span. Huwag natin i-adjust yung curriculum, i-adjust natin yung learner. After all, the brain is plastic. Yes, marami mga brains ngayon hindi sanay sa mahabang information. Marami mga brains ngayon, maikli ang attention span. But the brain is plastic. Pinag-aaralan yan in biopsych, brain plasticity. You can still always rewire the brain to do something else. Sa tingin ko, ito yung mas magandang option. Ang learner yung i-adjust natin, hindi yung curriculum. Diba? In what way are we going to adjust the learners? Let's teach them psychological techniques to sustain their attention. Pahabain natin yung 8.25 seconds of attention span. Masyadong maikli yan. Mahirap maka-achieve ng quality learning kung ang attention span ng mga bata 8.25 seconds lang. Ang problema, hinuhubog nga sila ng social media na maging ganyan. At isa pang problema, hindi mo naman pwede ma-undo yung social media. Hindi mo naman pwede ipagbawal yan. Parte ng environment yan. It's a very powerful entity. Hindi mo basta-basta ma-undo si Mark Zuckerberg. I hope you're getting my point. So, the best way we can do is turuan natin yung mga estudyante how to deal with the negative effects of the digital environment. Specifically, shortening their attention span. If the social media shortens their attention span, turuan natin yung mga estudyante how to prolong their attention span. Yun ang mas magandang strategy. Kasi dito talaga nakasalalay whether or not learning will happen. Yung sustained attention. And we have evidences for that. Sustained attention determines quality of learning. As you can see here in this article, this is a good read. Sinasabi lang dito na yung mga estudyante na maganda ang sustained attention, they know how to focus, mahaba yung attention span nila, they achieve well, they learn well inside the classroom. There's no other way para matuto yung mga bata but to teach them how to sustain their attention. Also, let me just further justify kung bakit mas gusto ko yung option number 2. Kapag ginawa mo kasi yung option number 1, ang in-adjust mo yung curriculum, parang na-reinforce mo na yung brain na hindi normal. Parang ni-normalize mo yung something that is not normal. Because again, let me repeat, ang brain na addicted in any substance, and that includes social media, although social media is not a substance, no? But you get the point, is not normal. Ang brain na addict, hindi siya normal. Yun nga yung problema natin ngayon. Marami mga brains ngayon addicted sa social media. Kaya nga sila may ganyan. Diba? Hindi normal na brain yung ganon. So kung pinalitan mo yung curriculum, rather than address the brain, it's like you have reinforced the abnormal brain. So again, ang point ko dito, wag natin gawin yon by adjusting the curriculum. Wag natin i-adjust yung curriculum. Turuan natin yung mga bata to train themselves how to meet the curriculum. Kasi yung pinanggalingan ng curriculum template, normal. So bakit natin i-reinforce yung abnormal brain by changing the curriculum? That's my point. Diba? Ang normal na brain is a brain that knows how to focus. We are designed to focus. That's one of the cognitive skills that God has given to us. Our ability to focus. Kaya nga in the Bible, lagi yan nire-reinforce. That the more focused you are in your life, the better your life will be. Because after all, that's our functioning. Default natin yan. We need to be good in focusing. But then again, in this lecture, anong pinakita ko? Social media destroys this. So anong solution? Let's relearn. Let's teach our children, again, how to focus. Alright? So yan yung ating maikling lecture tungkol sa social media, cognitive impacts in the classroom. Kung meron kayong mga questions or comments or some other examples, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa baba. Sir Howard here. Until the next lecture, God bless everyone. Bye-bye.